Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and I'm on a mission to spread peace, love, and positivity through music. Today, I'll be doing another triple reaction to the Russian folk metal band Grai. We'll be checking out the songs A Water Well, Fortress, and Tread of Winter today. And after my first reaction to Grai, which I encourage you all to check out, I was extremely impressed by their vocals, their musicianship, and just the sheer epicness of the tracks that we heard. It felt like every minute of the songs kept kind of pushing the ante up higher and higher and higher. And for me, I always enjoy when a song can really push itself to its own limits and become the entire actualized version of itself. And it happens that folk metal does often follow a similar kind of, I guess, upping the ante kind of structure. Also sort of reminds me of a lot of the power metal that I'll listen to, where it feels like, man, we already hit this high. How can we go that much higher? And then my brain just kind of falls out of its socket. So I'm excited to check this out today. And that is all thanks to Michael the Courageous for the generous donation and these selections today. Thank you very much, my friend. Now, let's jump in.
Следующая песня называется «Колодец». Погнали!
Oh, that is an interesting sound. Oh, supplemented with huge guitar. That kind of like boingy sound reminds me of what I've heard in one or two of the Mongolian metal songs that I've heard. I think one was on this channel, another was just in my own perusing. I don't know what that instrument is called off the top of my head. Oh, the electric guitar is already taking lead. I love the tone and how it sits above everything. Oh. Very folksy vocals, that's for sure. And against the guitar and this drumming, it keeps us forward. It is so dark with those vocals. Oh, and then hand it back to the electric. I like that flow. Go from pure rhythm to electric, then to the clean folk vocals, then to the heavy vocals, then back to electric, now back to the clean folk. I love the feel of this so much because it feels like you're simultaneously able to enjoy the current moment so much, and that there's something ahead, like we are on this inevitable march to some really gargantuan place. These lyrics that I'm reading are they paint a very bleak picture. Kind of changes the headbang feel. Kind of dancing around the one. Alright. I will never say no to good flute. It's funny because this vocalist, she does the heavy screams, and then she plays also the lightest, most fairy-esque instrument possible. It's almost like chanting it, right? Oh, I love the layering. Oh, that was awesome. I love how foreboding that track feels because, again, at every single moment, I'm like, wow, this is an awesome place to be, and it keeps us marching forward towards something. And what that something is just more of that march. It feels very rooted in darkness, and it is just very unapologetically itself, which to me I really can appreciate. I love when an artist has their own kind of like unique signature of a sound, and everything I've heard from Grai at this point, it feels like they really embody that kind of like slow moving tempo with really pleasant vocals on the one singer's front and then heavier on the other. You have that nice pairing, the bright electric guitar, the really airy flute that, you know, we kind of got on the latter half of this track. And then you can just layer those things however you would like and tell the story. And I guess I should have brought this up at the very beginning of jumping into this song, because we're not doing a lyrical analysis today, but this song at a high level is about a woman drugging and stabbing her husband and then throwing his body down a well. Just in isolation, that is a crazy, crazy story to write a song about. And you know, if you just look at the lyrics, it is all written in this very almost like, how can I say? I wouldn't say indifferent place, but it's like almost as if you were to imagine like the face of an executioner. Executioners, if they've done what they've done for a long time, you know, working day in, day out at the guillotine, they become cold to the horrors that they're inflicting, whether justified or not. That's almost besides the point, but dealing with that much death and sadness and all of the surrounding emotions one may feel, you kind of like deaden your feel to that. You lose the essence and contact with your own humanity in a way, because you, in order to do a lot of those terrible things, you have to divorce part of who you are from yourself. You have to, I wouldn't say like astral project, but almost like dissociate from the identity that you currently have and sort of become one with another identity that is less, let's say, conducive. But, you know, that's besides the point. I love the way that this message is conveyed in this way, because it feels very like congruent with one another. So a great way to start off this triple reaction off. Let's check out the next track here. literally feels like you're in temple. You hear the kind of like droning beautiful notes. You could just stay here for the entirety of the song, I'd be down. That melody immediately works for me. Great progression. What a cool vibe to this. It's very relaxing. And you know, I've noticed this about Grai's lyrics. If you are able to look them up yourself, there's a lot of, I guess, references to nature. They like to use nature as a way to convey the thoughts that they have, and I always find it very, very pretty when people do that, because nature, it is such, just in general, nature is so beautiful. It is awe-inspiring. Nature is a sort of outward expression of what humans are. You could even say the same thing about other animals, but really, when you think of like how we impact the world, and what our role is, if we use the world as a mirror, nature is a beautiful reflection, because if we're able to enjoy it and become part of it, then we are congruent with the world around us. But if we exist in nature and things feel irreconcilable, for example, it's when you know that something is off, because in nature, you're not only with nature, but you're also potentially alone with your own thoughts, and that gives you that very clear space to all sort of like unpack who you are in a very human way, outside of like all of the technology and all of the social structures that exist. Even recently, I took a vacation with a bunch of friends of mine. We went hiking. We enjoyed beautiful Denver mountains, and I wasn't able to fully be in the moment because I had things on my mind, and that wasn't the case the entire way through. Some moments I was able to really just be present and enjoy, and like I was so physically exhausted that there's nothing to do other than to experience, and you just feel true in who you are. But so much of like our own external baggage is brought with us into nature. It almost feels like we aren't, at least I can say, like, some things that probably I think and do in my life are not congruent with how I ought to be. And being in nature, which is a very human thing, is revealing of that fact. So, I've done a lot of like introspection, and I don't, think of it as a terrible thing either to not be fully present in that moment, because I'm putting in the effort. But it's interesting, and using nature as a sort of like category to convey a lot of the meaning in these tracks, I think it's just a good way to write lyrics, but maybe that's just my own bias. Let's jump back in. I don't know where it happened, but this picked up in a major way. It's so gradual. This is really soothing, I gotta say. It's almost dreamlike here, you know, talking to the nature spirits and just being aligned. Oh, it's so beautiful, man. I feel like I want to go outside right now and just touch grass, touch the trees, sink into the spasibo. Is it spasibo or spasiba? My knowledge of Russian vocab is rather limited, though I spent probably like a few weeks, a few years back learning like at least how to read phonetically the Russian alphabet. So like looking at this here, this would be kren or krel, krelost or krenost. Like I said, it's been some time now. Krenosti, maybe even. It's been a while since I've actually spent time reading Russian. The reason I initially wanted to learn how to read some Russian was to be able to sing along to a few Russian songs that I had discovered through my various YouTube browsing sessions. And since then, we've listened to a lot more Russian on the channel. It's a beautiful language. I definitely need to spend more time learning Russian. But then the other part of me thinks, well, maybe Sohum, you should invest more time in just getting better at the language you currently are using all the time, English. But man, I just love music like this. It feels very weirdly fitting, despite like when you think of the idea of folk. I usually apply folk to its own kind of culture, its own world. So if it's like Russian folk music, that may sound very different than like Celtic folk music, which may sound very different than American folk music. I think folk as a broad label sort of requires a second, maybe proper noun or adjective to properly explain what exactly the folk is. But to me, it's more true to the culture that it's speaking about. And I love just learning about different cultures as well and sort of immersing myself in those worlds. When I get more time and money, hopefully one day I'll be able to travel the world and really see and experience more of those places that intrigue me, but I have yet to actually kind of experience myself. Because you can only learn so much through YouTube, through the experiences anecdotally of others. But not to get too sidetracked from the song itself, I really like the idea of just connecting with nature and what the human relationship with nature is. And in this song, it seems to be this depiction of having this massive fortress, this place of refuge in the sacredness of the nature around, whether it's in the dark of the night, the bright of the morning, the looming stars above, or the large trees in the middle, these canopies, having this forest in front of you, but then being able to live alongside it in your own fortress. In a way, it almost like hints at disconnecting from nature and living outside of it. But to me, it can also be congruent with nature. I don't necessarily think it has to be one or the other, because if what we're doing right now isn't nature, then how can we properly define nature? Isn't nature just the things that happen and as they are anyways? Just because we have consciousness doesn't make what we do any less nature. It's a different lens. It's nature without consciousness versus nature with consciousness. And isn't that all just still nature? Not to make it like super tautological, but I also have this like high level lingering thought of, well, what really is nature? Isn't nature just everything? But that I don't have much more info to share with you on, so I will leave it to you all to project your own thoughts there. But let's jump into the final track here of the day, Tread of Winter. Also, I love their logo.
Ехали 14 часов до вас сквозь снег. И я думаю, каждый из нас уже чувствует поступь зимы!
Oh, wow. Starting with the these triplet ones. Wow. This polyrhythm is so cool. Just to quickly point it out, you have the rapid 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in the flute, and you have the triplets strumming underneath. That was quite the start. I don't know why tapping makes everything sound cool. True headbang material right here. That's awesome. The quick little pick scrape too underneath. Oh, and now all the layers being added, except for the vocals in the spot. Wow, I love the ferocity. I love that everybody is just headbanging. You can hear it like kind of finding its place, settling into where we could outro. Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah, I like these songs so much. I love the way that we also structured these three. It felt like the pacing in terms of feel. We had this like inevitable march up front that led us to something that was, I think, more tame by comparison, but built with each subsequent moment. And then here in the end, we had something even larger in terms of its scale. And when you can start feeling those breakdowns hit even harder, that's when you know you've kind of ordered things correctly. And that's maybe a more nominal point to raise, but I think it's always interesting when I get requests on the channel, especially when it's like double reactions or triple reactions, to see the order in which those songs are kind of laid out, because it may be a sort of random decision because 3 songs are being shared, but it also could be, decided more actively, but that's more besides the point here. This song was very interesting. I kind of was having a little bit of trouble with the lyrical interpretation here. There's a lot in my mind that was going on with the concept of this kind of bird, this black bird of, I guess, bad omens, potentially hinting at like a darker winter, kind of like you would expect in Game of Thrones. But the thing is, it's not necessarily just a bad omen. It is just an omen for transformation, which does herald the arrival of cold and silence and stillness, but it also at least opens the door for something different. It opens the door for my camera turning off, that's for sure. there's a lot of, again, cool imagery in the lyrics painted in the song Tread of Winter. I really just like the idea too of birds in lyrics, to even be more niche than just nature itself. Birds, the idea of their flight, their journey, whether it's going from hot to cold, cold to hot, what they represent, the symbolism behind the bird in question. Oftentimes birds too get associated with freedom, or if it's a caged bird, then you're restricted, right? So across time, poets have used birds for their various purposes. I don't think it should ever stop. Not that I'm like a big bird person in my life in general, but I more and more these days I appreciate birds, especially like when I go for walks, because I'm trying to be more, outdoorsy and, like I said, connect with nature, even though sometimes I'm not as present. You'll hear the songs of birds. You'll hear them communicate with one another, dance together, follow one another, just fly in general, or inhabit the trees around you. It's very interesting to watch their movements. There's a great many things I would like to do in my life, and if I had multiple Sohums to live multiple continuous timelines, one of the Sohums would definitely go into like veterinary work, where I can, be hands-on with animals, or, anything that really just involves animals and giving them love too. Again, that's neither here nor there. I think I just get lost in my sidebars. But again, at a very high level, it's very fun to listen to Grai. I love the way that they move with each one of their tracks. The tempo is not too fast. You can digest all of what's happening melodically fairly quickly, in my opinion. And that gives you the opportunity to just live in those awesome moments and digest the very poetic lyrics. Because, on a first pass, I don't think I'm getting everything, but it definitely means that these are the kinds of songs, these are the kinds of, I guess, bands in general, if you think of Grai, that deserve a first pass, a second pass, a third pass. Just keep listening to them and you can take more away from their art. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you did and want to request more Grai, or any other band for that matter yourself, you can do so by hitting the first link in the description box below. But as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.